Hey. Make sure you see my head. So hi. My name is Emma. I'm one of the ambassadors, and I created this ghost tour because this was Moitz's idea. If any of you know who Moitz is. And myself, Shaun, and Gavin worked together through COVID, through lots of illnesses, and through me doing rehearsals for a show that I was involved in. We worked online, and now we're bringing you 5 stories of really nasty stories, I guess. So Edinburgh is considered the most haunted city in the world. There's a fact for you straight away. It's supposedly haunted by over 3,000 to 7,000 ghosts. Not all of them are named, obviously, but essentially you can't go 5 seconds without supposedly meeting up with a ghost. You might not be aware of it, but apparently everywhere in the city is haunted, including the museum right now.
Do you believe in the ghost?
I'm technically Salvation, so I'm not supposed to, but I do believe in an afterlife. Does anyone else believe in ghosts?
Maybe.
This is a good enough answer. Do any of you know Mary Queen of Scots?
Yeah.
What happened to her?
Beheaded.
She was beheaded, yeah. So Mary Queen of Scots' son, known as James I of Scotland, of England, and James II of Scotland, he was a very superstitious man. And by superstitious, he believed in imps, he believed in smurfs. Not the smurfs that we think of, but, little people that run around. He believed in goblins stealing people's socks. And his biggest thing that he believed in was witches. He was very famous for believing in witches. In fact, he wrote a book called the Doomsday Book, which was all about witches. He also had a very bad habit of sniffing his nose and leaving bogies all over the place, but that's another story. So the first story we're going to talk about is this woman here. Obviously not a photograph, because this was in the late 1500s, where photography wasn't around. This is Agnes Sampson. And Agnes Sampson was a healer. And healers believed, it's kind of like a witch thing, but they would never call themselves a witch. They believed that they had healing powers. So they weren't a doctor, but they had some knowledge about mushrooms, they had some knowledge about medicine and flowers, basically antidotes. Unfortunately, if you were a healer and you got into a bit of trouble with your neighbours, you could get easily accused of being a witch. And unfortunately for Agnes, that's what happened to her. And unfortunately for Agnes, it just happened to be King James II of Scotland. So how did Agnes and James II come together? Well, first of all, Mary Queen of Scots died under mysterious circumstances. We know what happened. And so James needed to have a wife. And he wasn't going to marry an English woman. So instead, he married someone from Norway. He never met her, but he was on a boat, he went all the way to Norway, and he met his future wife, and they married there. And now, unfortunately, on the way back to Scotland, the ships were attacked by storms. And by the ships, I mean his ship and his wife's ship was attacked, but none of the other ships were attacked. So instantly, James, with his superstitious mind, believed, oh crap, I've been attacked by witches. Because how does that work? How does that work that my 2 ships were attacked and none of the other ships were attacked? Hey guys, don't worry, you haven't missed much, don't worry. So James decided, okay, I've been attacked by witches, and so they landed in East Lothian, the ships, and he told his guardsmen, round up all the witches, and one of these witches, so-called witches, was Agnes Sampson. So I'll show it to you guys here. It's not photography, I know, it's 1500s, sorry. And as described, she was a healer. And here's another picture. This was created by her interrogators. And by interrogators, This wasn't like police force nowadays. These are people that tortured her. Now, she denied it point blank, because you would, wouldn't you? You'd be accused of a witch in 1500, you know you're going to die. So they tortured her. So one of the first things they did, this is quite graphic just to warn you, they put a metal cradle over her face, and then they brought in these pincers, and they pinced her right through the cheek here, and then through the other cheek here, and then they grabbed another one, and put it through the other cheek, and out the back of this cheek here. She did not confess. Even though there was probably blood like pouring down her face, she did not confess. So, they're like, okay, you're not going to confess, we're going to put you on the rack. And the rack was this machine that they put their hands up, they would tie ropes, they would tie ropes in the leg, and then they'd pull the lever and they'd stretch you. And they'd stretch and they'd stretch until you dislocated your legs and your arms, and possibly even broke them. And still, Agnes didn't confess. So that's quite strong, if you think about it. But then, 3 weeks, she was not allowed to sleep, she was not allowed to eat, and that's when she confessed. So she told James, James came to this interrogation, she told James that she created these storms, these so-called storms, by throwing in a dead black cat into the water and sprouting out some incantations. We don't know why she said all these things. Maybe she just wanted to scare him a wee bit. So it was like, well, I've confessed, I'm going to die anyway. And James said to her, weirdly enough, I don't believe you. I don't believe you, actually. Because even though he believed in witches, he didn't believe in interrogations and torture. And Agnes did a very weird thing. Agnes said, James, I want to have a conversation with you, just one-on-one. So the guards left the room, and Agnes told James, word for word, the very first conversation that he had with his wife in their bedchambers. It was a conversation that happened in Norway. And bear in mind, at the time, Agnes was in East Lothian. Nobody knows how she knew the conversation, but she knew. And James was convinced then that Agnes was definitely the witch that tried to kill him. Now, what do you think happened to witches back then?
Burnt at the stake, well, you know?
Pretty much. In Scotland, they were burnt at the stake. And Agnes, whilst she was burnt at the stake, she was strangled first as a form of mercy. Because, I mean, I don't know, burning at the stake sounds a bit painful. I wouldn't want it to happen. What do you think? Like burning at the stake?
No, thanks.
Absolutely not. But I do consider Agnes quite a brave woman, considering, one, that she tried so hard to fight back against what she had to put up with, but also she managed to scare James. He was an idiot, quite frankly. 17,000 women in 1500s alone were killed for being so-called witches, and many of them were vulnerable women and men who were basically picked on by their communities. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you to a section in the museum which is just around the corner, and it's a very small part that just showcases a bit of the torture items that the witches, the so-called witches, would go through. And after that we're going to go outside. I'll give you guys some time to have a look at it. There is a girdle that was very similar to what Agnes wore, except it doesn't have the pincers. So if you can imagine the pincers going through her cheeks. Yeah. It's horrible. So I'll just show you where it is just now.
Again?
It's all good, by the way.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm alright.
I have chocolates at home for you.
So you Robert?
I have chocolate eyeballs that are on one side. One of them's
people were in total disarray that first year. Many deserted, and many, after they deserted, some of them managed to get out of Britain. That's when
this whole wall here, this thing here, you used to be able to pick this up. This was all about witches in general. It shows parts of the girdles and the torture things that these women and men suffered. So there's some pictures here of the poor women getting beaten up.
So you can't take pictures, no?
I don't know. I think you can. It's just not recommended.
Oh,
So actual chains that these people wore, parts of them written it down. It's just horrific. So even me just saying this, I feel like it's important that people need to see things like that because it was weird. It was a very weird time. Superstition was clouded in law in general. And what we're going to find out during this tour is not just superstition, but a lot of, women rights violations that's going to be talked about. So I'll give you guys time to look through it, and I'll just wait outside. And once everyone's done, we'll start from the second story. So you guys just have a look at this, and when you're ready, we'll carry on.